Hello guys, so we are going to continue discussion with respect to Python, and in this video we are going to discuss about exception handling, right? And I hope you have heard about this particular term and what exactly is an exception handling. Exception handling in Python allows you to handle errors gracefully and take corrective actions without stopping the execution of the program, right? And here in this specific lessons we are going to cover and we'll be seeing some of the keywords like try, except, else, and finally blocks. And we will be seeing how we can handle the exception that arise in our program. And we have to handle in such a way that we do not break the entire execution of the program, right? Now, there may be scenarios. Let's say that I'm using an application over there. A user is filling some kind of form and it does not give the right kind of input. So in that particular case, I will not just stop the execution of the program. Instead, I will say, hey, I will raise an exception. I'll tell the user, hey, try to put some proper information over there, right? And make sure that you always try to put this kind of information to make that entire form get submitted. Okay, so we are handling it gracefully, right? We are not stopping the execution of the program. Now let us go ahead and understand what are exceptions, and you really need to understand the differences between errors and exception. Exceptions are events that disrupt the normal flow of a program. They occur where an error is encountered during program execution. Common exception include zero division error. So here we have something like divide by zero, file not found error, value error, type error. These are some of the example. Okay. Now let me just show you I'll just show you some amazing examples and how do I handle it with the help of exception handling. I will try to talk about it. Okay. Now let me do one thing. Okay. Let me just go ahead and write a is equal to 10. Okay. So this code, I think it will work perfectly because we have assigned the variable. But if I go ahead and write a is equal to b, and if I just execute it, so what is the error that I'm getting over here, right? Error is very simple. It is saying, hey, name b is not defined. So what has happened over here? This is a kind of error that has actually happened. And as I've already told, they occur when an error is encountered during a program execution. Here, obviously, I know the error is like name b is not defined. So an exception is basically getting raised over here. And this name error is one kind of exception, right? It is one kind of exception, like how I have written over here, zero division error, file not found error, value error, type error. So name error is also one kind of exception that is probably getting raised over here because we have not defined b. Okay. So how do I handle this? Let's say that I have not defined b over here. And obviously this kind of error that I probably see, it is suitable for a coder, right? A coder will be able to understand, okay, fine, in this particular line of code, I'm getting this kind of exception, right? But if an end user is using some kind of application, if he or she sees this, right, they'll not be able to understand. So it is always better that we handle it gracefully by providing a good message, right? So how do I handle this? So what I will do, in order to handle exception handling, right, let me just go ahead and write, I'll be using over here try except blocks. Okay, it is just like try catch block in other programming language. So first of all, I will go ahead and write try. Okay, now what does try mean? Try basically means inside this block, I will go ahead and write my block of code where exception may rise. Okay, so let's say right now the exception was rising in this particular code, right? A is equal to b, right? Now what I will do is that when I write a is equal to b, right, obviously we know that an error will come over here. Now in order to handle this error, what I will do, I will just go ahead and write except, okay, and I will just go ahead and write my print statement. I'll say, hey, the variable has not been assigned, right? The variable has not been assigned. Okay, so this is my custom message that I'm saying, hey, if this particular error, see, when this code gets run here, exception got raised, right? And this exception will be caught by this except block. And when it will get caught, here is the print statement. This is the print statement that will get displayed, right? So if I go ahead and execute it once again, so here you will be able to see, hey, see, the variable has not been assigned. Now, this is a very good message when compared to the previous message where we had red statements and all for the end user, right? And obviously, we know that what is the kind of error that we have got over here, a is equal to b. See, this is the error that we are getting, name b is not defined. It is not like that I cannot display this. I can also display this. Let me show you how we can display this. So what I will do, I will just copy the same thing. I will paste it over here. I know what kind of error or what kind of exception it is throwing. It is a name error exception. So I will go ahead and call this same exception. Okay, this is one type of exception over here, right? And let me just go ahead and make my alias, right? And I will just go ahead and say, hey, print ex. Okay. So what I'm actually doing when this kind of error is falling, right? When this kind of error is getting raised, a name error is getting raised, I am handling those kind of exception with the same exception handler over here, right? And this name error is a class which handles this kind of exception, right? I hope you are able to understand it. So now if I go ahead and execute it, see the same message is getting displayed. Name B is not defined, and here also we are getting name B is not defined. Why? Because I have used the same class, right? That is name error, which is responsible in catching this specific exception, right? So this is one amazing example which you can easily understand, right? Now similarly, I may have other kind of exception, right? So let's go ahead and do this. I will go ahead and write, hey, or let's do this. Okay, I will go ahead and write result is equal to 1 divided by 0. If I execute this, you see what kind of error is coming, right? This is called as zero division error, right? Zero division error. Now, zero division error is again a kind of error that we are getting it, and this is also kind of exception, right? And we can also handle this exception. How do we handle it? I will go ahead and write my try block. Okay, and here my code will be there. Now I know if this exception gets raised, I'm going to basically called except, and my exception handler will be, or my class name that I have to use, which will catch this kind of exception, is zero division error as ex. Okay, ex is just an alias, and we will go ahead and print ex. Okay, now you can see division by 0, right? And apart from this, I can also go ahead and write another message saying that, hey, please enter number. Please enter the denominator greater than 0, right? So I can go ahead and write this. So this way I'm able to get more beautiful messages, and I'm handling it gracefully, you know. What do I mean by gracefully? I'm not stopping the execution of the program, I'm not giving that entire red section that you always are having a fear, right, of that. I'm giving a proper message over here saying that, hey, this is the exception that got raised, you need to fix this. Please enter the denominator greater than 0. So again, the person will go ahead and make sure that he'll understand, and then they'll go and write this particular denominator greater than 0, right? Now all these exception, one more things, right? So here you can see that all these exceptions that are there, like zero division error, file not found error, value error, type error, these are derived from a main exception class. Okay, so let's say that I don't know, there may be some kind of exception that may be happening. Okay, let's say that over here again, if I go ahead and write a is equal to b, right? And let's say I am going to just write 1 by 2. Now here you will be seeing that, okay, or let me just go ahead and write like this. I will copy this. Let's say I go ahead and copy this, and I'll go ahead and write 1 by 2. So obviously zero division error is not going to get caught, right? So now if I go ahead and write a is equal to b, now I know a is equal to b is going to give me a name error, but will this exception get caught right now? The answer is no, because I have just written zero division error over here, and I'm catching it in the except block. Other than that, I have not used name error, right? This exception is never handled it with the help of name error, right? So I have not written it in the except block, right? So that is the reason I'm getting this particular error saying that the name B is not defined, right? So how do I handle it? So see, one more thing is that, and sometimes it happens in such a way that there may be different exceptions that may be occurring, right? And all these exceptions that we learn, like zero division error or name error, value error, this is derived from one single parent class, right? We'll talk about more classes and all. That is nothing but exception. This is the base class of exception. It can handle any kind of exception, right? So if I go ahead and write as ex1, okay, and now let me just go ahead and print ex1. Now we'll see, since I'm getting an error over here, obviously you'll be seeing that this exception is not getting handled over here because this is a zero division error. But this exception will probably handle because this is the main parent class of exception, and every exception will be derived from this particular exception class, right? Like zero division error will also be derived from this, name value error will also be derived from this. So at the end of the day, you'll be seeing that this exception will be handled over here, right? So if I go ahead and execute it once again, so here you can see name B is not defined. From where it is basically coming, right? So here it is basically coming from, right? Main exception class, main exception got caught here, right? If I execute it, see, it is getting caught over here. So you can write any number of exceptions, but always make sure that the last exception class that we are using should be in the last section, right? We should not write this before zero division error or any other kind of exception, because this is the parent class from which all the exceptions are basically getting derived. Okay. And this is how we handle different kind of exceptions, right? So I hope you have got this particular idea. But here what we have actually done is that we have handled multiple exceptions, right? So let me just go ahead and show you one more example. Let's say I go ahead and try over here. I'll create a number, okay? And this will be my int, okay? Let me just go ahead and write input. And here I will go ahead and write enter a number, okay? Okay. Now once I enter a number over here, let's say that I go ahead and divide this. Result is equal to 10 divided by num, okay? 10 divided by num. Now I will go ahead and catch or write this except block. Remember, except block is basically to handle all the exception that rises inside this try block, right? So I will just go ahead and write except, okay? Now inside this except, let's say that I will go ahead and use one value error, okay? Value error, and here I will just go ahead and print. Let's say value error is specifically if I do not write a proper number over here, right? So this is not a valid number, not a valid number, okay? Similarly, I will go ahead and write except, another except block, and let's say here I'm just going to use zero division error, okay? And this will basically say, hey, print, you can't enter number, enter denominator greater than 0, okay? Now see how I'm handling, right? This is the block of code where the exception will be handled, exception will be raised, right? And this exception, like error, will be coming over here, and we will catch this particular exception either over here or either over here, right? So let's see this. So if I go ahead and execute it, let's go ahead and say that I've given the number as 0. Now what will happen if I press enter? Just imagine, obviously zero division error will get caught. So here you can see enter denominator greater than 0, right? Let's say that if I go ahead and execute it, and this time I give a string, I give a value called a string, Krish. So now what will happen? The value error will get caught, and this is not a valid number, right? So here clearly you can see that I'm able to handle it. Now there may be different kind of errors. So what I will do finally, I will just go ahead and write except with exception as ex, and I'll just go ahead and print ex, okay, over here, just to manage all the other errors. So let's say if I'm giving 34, this will get executed perfectly because I'm dividing the result by 10 by that specific number, okay? So here was an example to make you understand about try catch block, or we also say try except block, okay? Now I just want to also show you one more example, and here along with try except, I'm also going to show you else block, okay? Now let's go ahead and see this. So here is my try, okay? I will go ahead and create my number, and this will be input. And here, let me just go ahead and write enter a number, okay? Enter a number. Then I will just go ahead and say result is equal to 10 divided by number, okay? Let's say this is there, okay? Now, one exception that I'll try to handle is value error and zero division error, okay? So I've written it over here. Let's say if both this error are not coming, that basically means this has got executed successfully, right? In the worst case, I will also go ahead and write my exception, okay? So that basically means if this is also not getting caught over here, then that basically means the code has got successfully executed, okay, without any exception, okay? But finally, let's say that I want to display this particular result value, okay? Now the result value can be displayed over here, and I will try to use one amazing try catch functionality right over here, which is called as else. Now, let's say after this particular code has got executed, if exception is not happening, I want to close this entire try except with making sure that some lines of code needs to be executed anyhow, okay? So there will be an option of writing else block, and this else block is nothing but it is a you can just say that, okay, at the end of the day, after this gets executed successfully, it has to execute this. Okay. So if I go ahead and write in the else, so let's say in the else, I go ahead and say, hey, the result is this specific result. Okay. So I'm just displaying the result over here, right? So if I go ahead and execute it, now see what will happen. Okay. Now what will happen? I will give the input, let's say 23. If I press enter, okay, you'll be able to see 23, no exception will be raised. Now when no exception is getting raised, so obviously this will get skipped. But at the end of the day, this has to get executed, right? So else is something like it has to probably get executed. Let's say if there is an exception over here, then one of the exception block will get executed and it will come outside of this try except block. But if this gets successfully executed, anyhow, it is going to execute this else block. So if I go ahead and press enter, so here you can see the result is 0.434. Okay. Let's go ahead and execute this once again. And let me just go ahead and write 0. Now in case of 0, what will happen? 0 division error is there. So you can't divide the number by 0. So I'll press enter. That is the error. But here you can see else block is not getting executed. So that basically means whenever an error happens or exception happens, it will get handled in the except block. At that point of time, else block will not get executed. But if none of the exception gets raised over here, then what will happen? Else has to execute anyhow. Okay. So this was an amazing example with respect to else, right? So where you'll be able to see that, okay, if I'm not getting an exception, then it'll execute. Okay. Otherwise, if I'm getting an error, this is just going to stop and it is not going to execute this else block. Okay. This is how you will be able to understand. Now, this is fine. Let's try something more. Okay. Now this time what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to use try, except, else, and I'm also going to use one more amazing functionality or one more block, which is basically called as finally. Okay. Now let's see one example with respect to this. Now what exactly is finally? We'll discuss about this. Okay. I will just write a code and the same kind of code I will just copy and paste it over here. So see this. Okay. So here is my number, right? And here I'm probably dividing it. If exception does not happen over here, then directly else has to get executed. Okay. Else will get executed only when error is not there. Okay. Again, let me repeat it. This is going to get executed only when there is no error over here, right? If there is an error, it will be handled by this kind of exception. I will also go ahead and write this exception over here so that I will bring up multiple condition of exceptions. Okay. Now, finally is something. Finally is a kind of block. Whether error may be coming or not in this particular block of code, it has to execute anyhow. Okay. So let me repeat it again. We have already discussed just a while back about else, right? Else is something like this. If no error is probably coming over here, then we will go ahead and execute this. If error is probably coming up, then else part will not get executed since it is getting handled in the exception block. In case of finally block, whether the error may be coming here or not, it has to execute. Okay. Now let me just show you. So let's say if I go ahead and write 12. In case of 12, obviously it is a good number. It is a proper input. So no error is getting handled. So else block will get executed. The print result, something will come. And after this, finally block will also get executed. So if I go ahead and press enter, so here you can see the result is 0.833 and execution complete. Okay. Finally is also getting executed. Now in case of, let's say in the case of error, let's say if I go ahead and write over here 0. Now in case of 0, what will happen? 0 division error is coming up, right? So else block will not get executed, but finally block will definitely get executed. So if I go ahead and press enter, you can see you can't divide by 0. That is 0 division error. And finally it basically gets executed, which is called as execution complete. Now you may be thinking, Krish, where in the real world scenario this will come, right? Where do we specifically use finally block and all? Let me just give you one example, guys. Let's say that in try block, I am connecting to a database. Okay. Now in this particular database, let's say I got some connection issues, user password issues and all, right? Or let's say that I have connected to the database, then I did some kind of operation. There I got an exception. I handled that particular exception, right? But at the end of the day, I need to close the connection of that particular database. So I can write the code over here in the finally block, right? Because at the end of the day, if I'm getting an exception, also that exception is basically getting handled. But if I come out of that particular block, I need to make sure that that entire connection gets closed. And that is how we can specifically use this try, except, else, and finally block. Okay. Now, this was some of the ways of handling exceptions. And again, any kind of errors that you'll be seeing, there'll be different exceptions, which you can probably check it out. Okay. Again, guys, the thing is that unless and until you don't practice, you won't be able to become perfect. Please make sure that you have this all indentation techniques that is basically getting aligned. You can have multiple exception blocks. You can have multiple, but you can also use this else and finally block also to handle more diversified code errors. Okay. Now let's see some kind of practical examples. So first of all, I will just go ahead and show you file handling and exception handling. Okay. This is most commonly used. Okay. So let me just go ahead and use a try block. I will go ahead and open my file. So let's say file is equal to open. Now you remember, right, in previous videos when we were discussing about file operation, we tried to open a file which is called example.txt, but that file was not present over there and it gave us an error. It gave us an exception saying that, hey, those file does not exist. Okay. So we'll try to, do the same thing over here. So here I will just go ahead and open my example1.txt file. Okay. And here I will open this in read mode. Let's see. And right now, if I go ahead and show you in exception handling, there is no file called as example1.txt. Okay. Then I will just go ahead and write content is equal to file.read. We'll read the file inside that and we'll go ahead and print the content. Okay. So this is my try block where the exception may rise, right? Now I will go ahead and handle this exception. So I know that this is a kind of file not found error. Okay. And because if the file does not exist, so this kind of exception I'll be able to see. So here you can see the file does not exist. Okay. Okay. Now, anyhow, in the finally block, let's go ahead and write this in the finally block. In the finally block, I'm going to make sure that at the end of the day, I need to close this particular file, right? So yeah, I'll write if file in locals. Okay. Now what exactly is locals? Returns a dictionary containing the current scope local variables. Okay. If it is not present in the local, okay, and the file is not closed. Okay. I may get an exception over here also in the read also, right? So that is the reason I'm writing this particular condition. If these two are, if that file is present in the local variable and it is not closed, I will go ahead and close this file because I cannot make this file open. There may be some kind of issue. Similarly with respect to database connection. So I will go ahead and print file closed. Okay. At the end of the day, whatever may happen in the exception, right? In the finally block, I am going to close this particular file. Now, if I go ahead and execute this, you'll be able to see the file does not exist is coming, right? So here automatically the exception is basically getting handled, right? And let me do one thing. Let me just write a is equal to b over here. And let's say that, okay, fine. I have some kind of file. Okay. I have some kind of file. Let's say here, example1.txt. Okay. I have this file. Okay. I have this file. It is an empty file. Now what will happen? When I write a is equal to b, I know it is not a file found error. So I will just go ahead and handle it with the parent class exception as ex. Okay. And I will just go ahead and print ex. Okay. But at the end of the day, I know the code will be giving me an error over here. But what I'm doing, because here I will be reading the file, right? So the file is in the open state yet. So when this error comes, I know this will not get handled by this, but instead it will get handled by this. In the finally block, I'm making sure that I'll close the file. Okay. So that is how we will specifically do. So here you can see that I'm actually getting an error over here. Now, instead of this and, I will just go ahead and use or. So once I have used or, here you can see name B is not defined and file close. Okay. So we are at the end of the day, we are just closing all the specific files. Okay. Some kind of errors will definitely be coming up. So we should always make sure that whenever we are opening the file at the end of the day, we need to close this file. So I hope you are able to understand this entire thing, and you are able to understand with multiple examples. I've shown you each and everything. Step by step, we have executed each and everything. So yes, this was it from my side. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you.